Housing is more than shelter. It is a mirror of where we stand in life, a scoreboard of income and ambition, and often the single largest expense in any budget. Most people climb the housing ladder gradually, trading one set of compromises for another as their circumstances improve. Each rung brings more space, more privacy, and more control, but also more responsibility and cost. Here are the 8 levels of housing, from the humble rented room to the private estate, and what life actually looks like at each stage. Level 1: Renting a room. At the bottom of the ladder sits the rented room. You have a bed, a door that locks, and little else to call your own. The kitchen, the bathroom, and the living space are shared with housemates or with the landlord's family. Privacy is thin. You hear every conversation through the walls. You wait your turn for the shower, and your groceries sit in a labeled corner of a communal fridge. Yet this level has real virtues. It is cheap, flexible, and low commitment, which makes it the natural starting point for students, new migrants, and anyone saving aggressively. Many successful people remember this stage fondly because it taught them exactly how little a person truly needs. Level 2: The studio apartment. The first great leap is closing a door on a space that is entirely yours. A studio apartment combines bedroom, kitchen, and living area into a single room, and it is rarely larger than a generous garage, but everything in it belongs to you alone. You can cook at midnight, decorate as you please, and never negotiate over the thermostat. The trade offs are obvious: no separation between where you sleep and where you live, limited storage, and rent that often stings for what you get. Still, the psychological upgrade from shared housing to a private studio is arguably the largest single jump on the entire ladder. Level 3: The 1 or 2 bedroom rental. With a real bedroom behind its own door, life begins to feel like adulthood as advertised. A separate bedroom means guests can visit without seeing your unmade bed, a couple can live together without going mad, and a home office or nursery becomes possible with a second room. This level is where most urban professionals settle for years, sometimes decades. The apartment is comfortable, but the money still flows one way: to a landlord. Every rent payment builds someone else's wealth, and every lease renewal carries the quiet anxiety of a possible increase or eviction. Comfort has arrived, security has not. Level 4: The starter home. Level 4 is the psychological watershed: ownership. The starter home is usually modest, perhaps a small condo, a townhouse, or an aging house in an unfashionable neighborhood, purchased with a long mortgage and a nervously assembled down payment. The building may be imperfect, but the equation has flipped. Monthly payments now build your equity instead of a landlord's, and no one can decline to renew your lease. Ownership also introduces its hidden curriculum: property taxes, insurance, repairs, and the discovery that a broken water heater is now entirely your problem. It is more work and often more cost than renting, but each payment is a brick in your own wall. Level 5: The family house. The fifth level is the house most people picture when they hear the word home: 3 or 4 bedrooms, a yard, a garage, a good school district, room for children, and a dog. This is the destination of the classic middle class dream, and reaching it usually requires 2 incomes, a decade of equity, or both. Life here revolves around space: a bedroom for each child, a proper dining table, storage for bicycles and holiday decorations. The costs scale accordingly. Utilities, maintenance, and taxes grow with the square footage, and the lawn alone can consume a weekend. But for raising a family, this level offers the best ratio of comfort to cost that ordinary income can buy. Level 6: The luxury home. At level 6, housing stops being about need and becomes about desire. The luxury home might be a penthouse with a skyline view, a large modern build in a gated community, or a beautifully restored historic property. Square footage doubles, and so does everything else. a kitchen with professional appliances, bathrooms like spas, a home theater, a pool, smart systems controlling light and climate. Location becomes a statement in itself, whether that means a prestigious address downtown or a hillside with a view. Owners at this level typically employ help because a house this size cannot be maintained by its residents alone. The home is no longer just where you live, it is proof of what you have achieved. Level 7. Multiple properties. The seventh level is defined not by a bigger house, but by plurality. The primary residence is joined by a beach condo, a mountain cabin, or an apartment in another country, and often by rental properties that generate income. Housing has crossed a philosophical line. It is no longer only a place to live, but an asset class. Life gains a new rhythm of seasons and cities, summers by the sea, winters somewhere warm, and a landlord's ledger of tenants and property managers. The complications multiply with the keys: taxes in several jurisdictions, upkeep of homes that sit empty for months, and the strange guilt of owning more bedrooms than you can sleep in. Yet the wealth engine is undeniable because now your homes work for you. Level 8. The private estate. At the summit stands the private estate. Dozens of acres behind gates, a main residence of 10,000 square feet or more, guest houses, staff quarters, stables, perhaps a vineyard or a private lake. This is housing as a sovereign territory. The estate produces its own food and kitchen gardens, hosts events for hundreds, and employs a permanent staff of gardeners, housekeepers, and security. Names replace addresses, the property itself becomes an institution passed between generations. Ironically, life at this level loops back toward the concerns of level 1, only inverted. Instead of sharing a kitchen with strangers, the owner shares the property with the many people required to run it. Privacy is absolute, but solitude is rare, and the estate owns its owner nearly as much as the reverse. What the latter really teaches. Looking at all 8 levels together, a few truths emerge. First, the biggest gains in happiness happen early. The jump from a shared room to a private studio changes daily life more profoundly than the jump from a luxury home to an estate. Second, each level trades one form of freedom for another. Renters have mobility without security, owners have security without mobility, and estate holders have everything except simplicity. Third, the latter is not a moral ranking. A person thriving in a studio is not living a lesser life than a family juggling the upkeep of 3 properties, and plenty of people deliberately climb down, selling large homes to travel light. The wisest approach is to treat housing as a tool rather than a trophy. Climb when a new level genuinely serves your life, not when it merely signals success to others. Whether you are labeling groceries in a shared fridge or walking the grounds of your own estate, the real measure of a home has never changed. It is the place where your life actually happens, and no square footage can substitute for what happens inside it.